Remember how I went for a week straight without complaining about anything? Yeah, forget about that real quick. Let's talk competitive play in Overwatch. I've known for a while that the competitive community is very passionate about the game, but I think it's fair to say that we are currently in a phase that urges discussion more than ever before. And yes, the witty among you might have realized that I have not used any ranked gameplay as background footage in my videos for a while now. I mean, that one guy sure did. You know who you are, one guy. Yes, you got me. I've lazily been using arcade and quick play as background footage in my videos because the process of putting ranked gameplay into my editing software is far less lazy than using anything else. Sure, I'm certain that he meant the act of accumulating ranked gameplay over any other casual game mode, but still, I mean, I have been dealing with two messed up wrists for a while to come back to this. Can you really blame me? I'd rather play a game mode I remotely enjoy over running my face into the 45th match in a row with 3 Mercy one-tricks fighting over who can throw the next match. I mean, sure, Dive was annoying, but having this son of a moth fly around rezzing people in literally every single match I play just makes the game feel far less enjoyable. This is not what I signed up for a year ago. Hashtag not my Overwatch. I'm sure that hashtag will never actually get popular. Or could it? Tweet me at Terios Gaming. Also, sponsor my channel via YouTube Gaming because, I like money, and YouTube sure as hell does not like the idea of giving me any of that as of recently, but I digress. So our topic today is the idea of banning heroes for competitive play, and there are a couple different ways of approaching that idea. I'm sure most of you are thinking about a MOBA-esque drafting phase where teams pick and ban heroes in a certain order, and yes, we are going to talk about that as well. But first, I'd like to reference a video I made a little while ago called On the Brink of Death, which was a very sensationalistically titled news video that talked about a few relevant things at the time, not the least of which was a statement from the Apex analyst and caster. He criticized the claim that a single hero could mess up the game big time if not carefully created, and how if that was the case, these heroes could simply be banned for competitive play while furthering balancing efforts with the use of the PTR and community feedback. And this is the first type of hero ban that I would like to discuss. As it stands, the only time a hero was ever banned for competitive play was when D.Va literally broke the game by existing. So she was made unavailable for what I think was about half a day until the bugs were fixed. But I think that something like this should happen more often. No, not the game-breaking glitches, but removing heroes from competitive play for short periods of time. There were points in time where a single hero was severely messing with the balance in competitive play, and fixes usually took a good while, making players suffer through the consequences that came with poor balancing decisions. I mean, look at the triple tank meta back in Season 3 and the sheer dominance of Mercy in our current meta now in Season 6. In both cases, players were using something that is clearly broken in one sense or another to reach ranks that they had no right to hold. And once the changes finally hit the live servers, they would drop again, and on the way back down, they ruined the balance in so many matches by severely underperforming. As it stands, only few players hit Grandmaster and top 500 every single season by proving that they are very good at the game in more than just one aspect. But seasonal top 500 players are what I think is a big problem. In a game that is about swapping heroes, it should not be a matter of, oh, now it's my main hero's turn to be broken? Guess I'll be top 500 for a season. In the case of the tank meta, it was the simplistic nature of it that pushed a lot of players into high ratings, and I'm talking about whole teams. In the case of Mercy, it is her simplistic hero kit and playstyle. Reality is that way too many players hit Master and Grandmaster on the back of Mercy alone, which as one of the most passive heroes in the entire game should never be possible. And these players ruin the balance in the high end of the ladder. With her being the most popular hero in the community as well as her perceived status as a must pick, the chances of getting multiple Mercy one-tricks in high rating is really not all that low, and it's frustrating. Mercy does prove time and time again that her hero design does not encourage players to learn how to play the game properly, let alone to a degree that rivals the top 1% of the player base. Sure, they might be able to play Mercy, but they painfully underperform on literally anything else, and losing matches because of something like this is very annoying. Now obviously the ramifications of banning a support hero, let alone a main healer, could be fairly significant. Naturally, it would elevate Ana into a must-pick position because she's the only other main healer in the game, and players are already way too used to the aggressive playstyles thanks to the "oh, that didn't happen" button that Mercy provides. Smart players could obviously adapt different strategies that bring the Zenyatta Lucio combo back, but we're talking about things that would happen all across the ladder. It's a different story entirely if we were to remove Doomfist, for example, as there are a lot of other DPS heroes available, but the lack of support heroes period is what will make this a very risky bet. And I can't see where that comes from. We're looking at very minor, if any, changes at all when it comes to things that are being dropped on the PTR versus what actually lands on the live servers. It feels like the PTR is used more as a marketing tool than anything else. The devs did mention average play times on the PTR and why they take our criticism with a grain of salt, because we just don't spend enough time with the changes before complaining about them. But we have seen how many problems made it onto the live servers with things we criticized in the PTR phase already. It's kind of a vicious cycle here. I don't think we're just lacking incentive. It's not like a loot box would significantly encourage us to spend more time testing. The PTR already has this kind of reputation that most of the things that land on it will make it into the game anyway. The devs have already shown that they ignore our complaints too until the problems are on the live servers and they need to be changed anyway. With that kind of a reputation, it's no surprise that nobody wants to spend hours of their life on the PTR trying out the changes. I mean, what's the point if they just ignore us anyway and only use us to bug test them? At least that is our perspective as players. From a developer standpoint, if you have hundreds of thousands of people yelling at you from all sides, it is difficult to filter out what is actually reasonable criticism and what isn't. The sample size of the PTR is very small. People have a tendency to complain very quickly, and players have their favorite heroes' interests in mind more than the overall balance of the game. That and more is the reason why they don't just change things based on PTR feedback. But again, that begs the question, are we just there to bug test then? I feel like a system where heroes are removed temporarily to rebalance them on the PTR can still work. It just takes the developers to take the first step. Communicating that they are going to try out multiple possible fixes and changes for us to try out, encourage us to leave feedback in a mega thread on the forum, and be brave enough to try crazy changes as well. Give us more freedom on the PTR, let us play with more values, give us more possibilities to explore creative solutions for the problems we face on the live servers. The moment we are given the tools to explore why some changes make sense and others don't, and once you are brave enough to try out more out of the ordinary kind of changes just for the sake of having players try them, I think we could have a way better connection between players and developers. Nobody feels like big changes are possible based on PTR feedback because of all the reasons why PTR feedback just isn't all that valuable. Everything you give us already feels like it's done and ready for the live servers with no room for alteration. If players cry that a hero is too weak, do give them the damage buffs they want and let them see for themselves on the PTR why that would completely break the hero. Hearing you say that you tried it and found it overpowered is something else entirely than letting us try and see for ourselves. So many people in the community think that they are smarter than developers because in their heads, their ideas make sense. But if we were given the tools to try these ideas out, we could see why they won't be implemented, because so many things we propose are just kinda stupid. Granted, a lot about this idea evolves around having us realize how our simple solutions could mess up the game. The developers know why change XYZ won't be made, but we don't. So I guess it's for my own convenience as a content creator, my curiosity as a player, and also your image as a developer, that I think it would be a great idea to have players try and see firsthand why our ideas are often kinda stupid. Did I use the idea of banning heroes for competitive play as an excuse to talk about changes I love to see to how PTR updates are being handled? Well, maybe a little bit, but I still do agree, however, that if we are in a situation where a specific meta or a broken hero turns the balance on the ladder upside down, that a temporary removal would be a good idea. I mean, even if it's just 48 hours, that could give the devs some important data on how the ladder would behave without these heroes as a factor. I don't know whether or not they see a problem in having players fall in and out of GM and Master based on hero balance changes alone, but I definitely do find it concerning. But I also talked about the idea of a drafting phase that would allow teams to vote ban heroes for any given match. It would kinda defeat the fundamental idea of the game that is about having the freedom to swap to any hero at any given point in time. Pre-made groups could ban heroes that counter their main hero specifically, and by that give the enemies a significantly harder time trying to counterplay. And that in a game that is about counterplay. I think that alone rules out the possibility of this ever making its way into the game. Banning heroes in MOBAs makes sense because they counterpick during the drafting phase, and there are also map objectives, currency, and items they can use to better their chances. It's not a simple hero versus hero scenario like it is in Overwatch. We lack the complementary mechanisms that allow us to counterplay beyond the counters that are in the game by design. And we are also not locked into our choices at the time of starting the match. Before I ramble on even longer, I think we're gonna cut it here. So let me know what you think. Should the PTR offer more freedom to us as testers so we can see for ourselves which of our ideas could be realistically implemented and which could not? What do you think about the idea of temporarily removing problematic heroes to come up with rebalancing ideas? And do you have any ideas on how a drafting system could work after all? Time to get creative, y'all. Well, unlike me. But until then, thank you all so much for watching. Don't forget to drop me a like on your way out if you enjoyed the video, subscribe if you want to see more, and I hope to see you all next time. Find the skinny dude got online. Fuck online now. Here we go.
Skinny dude. It's your boy. Skinny ad revenue.
It's your boy Skinny, just actually Skinny. Just call me Skinny.
I'm fucking making that a title.
Alright, I guess we can do it on the bridge. I guess it's close to my spawn. Okay, let me get my ultimate. What's the health pack you can hack?
BRB thumb.
Fucking casual. I was so done with you already.